Who's scruffy looking?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Talking with My Hans channel. So glad you could join us for our 300 subscriber special, our audio commentary for Revenge of the Sith. I can't believe we've gotten to 300 subscribers. We've actually gotten to 400 subscribers, but we'll get to that soon enough. But, of course, you know the drill by now if you're a longtime subscriber. If you're not, of course, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get all the way to 1,000. Actually, trying to get to 12,000 in this series. 1,200 subscribers. 12,000 subscribers would be fantastic. But let's get to 1,200 first. That'll get us through all the Star Wars movies, and then maybe we'll do something else. We'll see. But this is it for now. So you guys know the drill we watch on Disney Plus. I have set my time code to 000000, and you are more than welcome to watch along with us. All right, let's get started. I am pressing the play button in 3, 2, 1. And now. So like I said, welcome back to the Talking with My Hans channel. So glad you guys could join us for the 300 subscriber special. Now that we're at 406 subscribers at the time of recording this video. Yeah, so about that. Just got really busy. We hit 300 subscribers kind of out of nowhere. I was going to record this. I know a lot of you are excited to hear this Revenge of the Sith commentary. And I'm excited to do it. The problem is that I just got really, really busy as time went on. I got some new Star Wars figures in the mail. I got did a Lego Star Wars video that started blowing up. Obviously, the Mandalorian trailer dropped. We had Star Wars Squadrons come out. It's been a very busy month or so since we got to 300 subscribers. And as you guys all know, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm a working individual. I work all week, Monday to Friday, 40-hour work weeks. So I work pretty much 9 to 5 every day on average. So I get home at like 6 o'clock every day. And the last thing I want to do is sit down and watch a Star Wars movie for 3 hours. Nothing against you guys. I love making videos for you guys. But, you know, after working 40 hours a week, it's tough to sit down and watch a Star Wars movie. Even though I do love them, it's hard to do. But here we are, finally getting the chance to do this one. And then, of course, coming up, we'll also have the Rogue One audio commentary pretty much right after this. I'll be doing that one tomorrow. Or recording it tomorrow. I don't know what time these two will go up, probably back to back. But yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride. I've gotten a lot of subscribers. The channel's really starting to take off. So again, if you guys have not subscribed yet, I mean, now's the time. If you wanted to get in before everybody is starting to subscribe, now is the time. I just cannot thank you guys enough for 300 subscribers. I feel like I go through this every time we do an audio commentary as we now start Revenge of the Sith. And this beautiful opening shot, probably one of the best opening shots in all of Star Wars, of the Venator and the Coruscant horizon. But like I was saying, it's just incredible to have over 400 subscribers, but for this video's sake, 300 subscribers. It's actually insane. You know, beyond that, we're closing in on 2,000 followers on Twitter. That's just, you guys have no idea what that's like mentally to sit here and say that, just because when I started the YouTube channel, it was just supposed to be this fun thing and make Star Wars videos, and it still is. It's still incredibly fun to me, but now it's just taken off, and I don't know what to say. You know, you guys got me a great gig with Death Star Dispatch podcast, and Fred from Death Star Dispatch. You guys have gotten me on there, and that's been fantastic. I've met so many of you on Twitter, and that is an absolute joy. And now I'm writing for a blog at What's New on Jakku. I wish I could just say it. That'd be great. I'm so glad I could get into that, and you guys have got me into that. You guys, since you guys love my content so much, it's just insane, to be honest with you. And I should really stop talking about the magnitude of my YouTube channel and get into the actual commentary of Revenge of the Sith, because that's what you guys came here for. So let's get right into that. What are we now? We're already 3 minutes in, and this thing's just taken off. Revenge of the Sith. I mean, name a better opening to a movie than Revenge of the Sith. This is up there. I think on Twitter, I've said multiple times that The Rise of Skywalker actually challenges Revenge of the Sith for one of the best openings in Star Wars. I think obviously A New Hope has to be up there, but other than those three, I don't know any other opening that's quite as fast paced and action heavy as this one. I mean, it's just the music is fantastic. The action's fantastic. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the scene. We love that. That's what Star Wars is all about. Just these dense, packed scenes of, everything going on at once. The death of Oddball just passed. Rip Oddball. Oh, wait, no, here he is. Rip Oddball, one of the Clone Wars characters that makes an appearance in this movie, or one of the characters from this movie that makes an appearance in the Clone Wars, I guess is the right way to say it, but really neat. The opening of this movie actually reminds me a lot of some episodes of the Clone Wars. I have heard that before. I'm not sure where. And maybe I've said this before in one of these commentaries, but I feel like Revenge of the Sith feels a lot like the Clone Wars episodes or vice versa. I think that if you watch the Clone Wars and then watch Revenge of the Sith, it thematically feels almost the same. The elements of it, the way it's paced, the way it's shot, the characters, it kind of flows very nicely. And now, of course, that season 7 has come out and it links up almost seamlessly. It just makes Revenge of the Sith that much better, as if it could get much better than it already was, which was part of the reason why season 7 of the Clone Wars was so much fun. Excuse me as I take a drink. That's much better. Whew. I think this is also Hayden Christensen's better movie out of the two that he's in. I think Attack of the Clones, it just wasn't his best. I think it was very good. I'm sure he did exactly what George said he was supposed to do. I just don't think it was his best. And I think this movie, Hayden Christensen as Anakin, is very good. I think it's very, very in line with who Darth Vader is. The staleness, I guess I could say, of his performance, the monotone acting is very much Vader. I think that kind of gets brushed under the rug when we talk about Hayden Christensen's acting in these movies. And you even see it in this heavy, fast-paced action scene that he's just very stoic. He's just he's like a brick wall. And that's not a knock on him. I feel like that's him playing the character of Darth Vader very well, because Darth Vader is not an expressive guy at all. So to think that Anakin would go from this huge expressive guy to nothing is sort of a stretch, even though he fell to the dark side and loses everything that he loves. I still think that this portrayal by Hayden as Anakin / Darth Vader is much better in Revenge of the Sith than it was in our last audio commentary in Attack of the Clones, which is a movie that as you guys know full well, is not at the top of my Star Wars list, and it's not near the top. It's actually last, Attack of the Clones, on my Star Wars list. However, Revenge of the Sith is 5th, and you say, Ian, it's the same cast, it's the same director, it's essentially the same movie. Well, it's not. I think Revenge of the Sith is a 10 times better movie than Attack of the Clones. I think the cast just does a way more fantastic job at portraying these characters, and the story just makes so much more sense than Attack of the Clones. So, 2 totally different movies, in my opinion, even though they're made only 3 years apart, and it's essentially the same cast. Into the Invisible Hand. I don't know why, but when I used to play Battlefront 2 2005 back in the day, this is like one of those scenes that I always tried to replay in my head, and it was always a shame that you could never play as the Jedi in the space battles, because this is something I want to do. I just wanted to be Anakin and pop out of this starfighter and come out and just start ripping down droids in a hangar. That was so cool back in the day. Obviously, that is not possible in the newer Battlefronts, but dang, modded up Battlefront 2 2005. That's where it's at. That still might be one of the best Star Wars games that's ever come out. And I'm not even talking about vanilla Battlefront 2 2005. I'm talking about the modded up version with Battlefront Extreme and the Old Republic mods, and you get to play as a Jedi in space and the different clones and the Clone Wars mod. It's just that's the definitive Star Wars Battlefront for me. I love this opening scene. The whole thing, from the time the movie starts until the time that the invisible hand crashes on the surface of Coruscant. It's just a fantastic opening act. Here's our first look at General Grievous in live action. This nice little callback to the Phantom Menace right here with Anakin and Obi-Wan and the destroyers instead of, here's Obi-Wan being the master, and instead Anakin is in Obi-Wan's shoes of 10 years ago. But here's what I got to say about General Grievous. There's always this separation of General Grievous when we talk about Star Wars and the Clone Wars in particular, and then this movie we talk about General Grievous in the 2003 Clone Wars series versus General Grievous in the animated or the computer animated Clone Wars series, and how there's such a difference between the two, and how the animated Grievous versus the hand-drawn Grievous is almost a nerf, and it really is. Grievous is the punching bag in the animated Clone Wars series, and someone has to be, I think. But it's funny because the 2003 Grievous going into the Revenge of the Sith Grievous also feels like two different characters. The 2003 Grievous was this unstoppable killing machine, and in this movie, he's not. He's barely anything in Revenge of the Sith, right? He's just the leader of the droid army, and I think what the Clone Wars animated series does, the 2008 series, it brings General Grievous into this light of he is the leader of the droid army. You don't really see that in the Clone Wars 2003 and the Tchaikovsky series. You don't see that he's the leader. You see that he's with them. I don't think you really see his background as a general. You don't see him with and among the droids that often. Obviously, he's on Hypori with the droids, but he's not really leading them. And he does a lot in the Clone Wars 2008. He is in charge of the droid army, and that's very much a part of his character in that series. And I think that translates out well over into Revenge of the Sith, where the 2003 series really does not do that. Here's one of my favorite little scenes in Revenge of the Sith when R2 spits out the oil. Not this one right here, not when Anakin jumps and flips. Though, good scene here. Great foreshadowing right there. But here it is. And then he ignites the boosters. Come on, Obi-Wan, get off the screen. Excuse me for taking a couple of drinks here. Here it is. R2, man. What would the series be without R2, honestly? But great little foreshadowing there. Cut in between the R2 scene of Obi-Wan igniting his lightsaber and facing Anakin. Great foreshadowing. Subtle, hilarious, in fact, but great foreshadowing. This scene, even, great foreshadowing, really good. Really echoes Return of the Jedi and the way Palpatine sets up in this very empty, stark room, and he has Anakin by his side the whole time. Well done. Well done. The battle rages on in the background. It's just a really good echo back to Return of the Jedi. And here we go, the final appearance of Sir Christopher Lee as Count Dooku in Star Wars live action. Perhaps one of his best moments as Count Dooku in live action, the duel between these three. Oh, speciality. I think it's also worth noting that we're going to be quoting a lot of this movie as we go along, just because we all know that Episode 3 is the most memeable and one of the most quotable Star Wars movies to date. It's not even a question. Love the choreography of this duel. Love it. So that line, that Anakin line that, my powers have doubled since the last time we met Count, is one of the lines in Revenge of the Sith that actually gets sort of downplayed in the Clone Wars. I think the Clone Wars animated series, the 2008 series, not the 2003 Tchaikovsky series, it does a lot to help out Revenge of the Sith, especially Season 7. But that was one of those lines that did not, because Anakin had just seen Count Dooku really not that long ago. If you're following the Clone Wars chronologically, and in the Tchaikovsky series, he does not meet Count Dooku. He does not see him again. So canonically, so I shouldn't say canonically, but in Legends, that line makes a lot of sense, because it had been a long time since Anakin had met Count Dooku. But Anakin actually meets Count Dooku a lot in the Clone Wars 2008 series, so it doesn't make that much sense, but they did do a good job, and we'll note this later with Anakin and General Grievous, but that's not coming up for a little bit. Great tracking shot here of the battle, and great choreography here. Mm. Get him now. Come on, Anakin. Do it. Do it. I cannot laugh. Seeing the head roll away as a child was always very disturbing. That's a look into the Talking with My Hans personal life. Listen, here's what I'm going to tell you about this duel. I was holding this till now on Twitter, of all places, the other day. And if you are the Twitter user that tweeted this and you're watching this video, congratulations, you opened my eyes up to something that I had never even thought about. It's almost like this duel, Anakin and Count Dooku with Palpatine watching, is the antithesis, the opposite of Vader and Luke in Return of the Jedi, where Luke decides to throw his lightsaber away and not fall into the dark side and not kill his father, and rather embrace being a Jedi and embrace being passive and let the Force take over. Anakin does the opposite in this duel. He takes the other route. He kills Count Dooku, even though he's unarmed. Right, so Luke could have killed his father, who was unarmed and laying on the ground, but he didn't. He chose the Jedi way. Anakin here does not. Anakin chooses to kill Count Dooku, who's unarmed and on the ground. Right, and obviously the killing of Count Dooku leads to Anakin's fall to the dark side later in this movie, amongst other things, of course. However, I think you see that subtle comparison in that scene. You see that that those two things working against each other, where Luke went right, but Anakin went wrong. Nice little salvo here. I always tried to figure out at what point on the ship these guys were firing from. It never really made any sense to me, but yeah, it was a great little scene. Those clones that like are firing out the side of the ship, I can never really find out where they are on the ship, but again, cool scene. Hmm. Look out, R2. I love how calm the droids are in the cockpit. Oh, it's gotta hurt. I always think that hurts. Didn't that hurt his shoulder? That would have killed me. This is crazy. I have no idea how Sheev gets from falling down into this hallway right here. Here we go. So Anakin's do this. This makes sense. Right here. How does Sheev get... Oh, Sheev like magically grabs on. That's crazy. Here's a little bit of Star Wars trivia for you about General Grievous, who's coughing throughout this whole movie. My girlfriend didn't know this, so maybe some of you who have been following Star Wars didn't know this either. But when he coughs, they added that cough in to General Grievous's character because George Lucas had bronchitis during the filming of Revenge of the Sith, or part of the filming of Revenge of the Sith. So they actually recorded a lot of George's coughs and then slipped them into General Grievous's character. Because if you remember during the Clone Wars 2003, which is the first appearance of the General Grievous character, he is not coughing. He's very clear cut. He does not stutter. He's not do any of that. But in this one, he does cough, and they added that in thanks to George's bronchitis. So if you didn't know that, you're welcome. Mm. So remember, I was going to say that we were going to say that talk about Anakin and General Grievous were later. Well, here it is. Another one of those things that a lot of Star Wars fans know, but maybe you haven't realized that Anakin and General Grievous never meet in the Clone Wars 2008, where Anakin and Dooku meet a lot. Anakin and Grievous never meet because this is supposed to be their first meeting. So they did a great job. Over 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, over 100 episodes. Anakin and General Grievous never ever meet. They come close a few times, 2 or 3 times they come close, but they never actually come face to face. Good job on the Clone Wars, folks, for allowing that not to happen. Very awesome job. But that's what I was saying about Dooku and Anakin versus Dooku and Grievous, is that Dooku and Anakin in the Clone Wars have a lot of screen time together. So it makes that one line in Revenge of the Sith sort of pointless when Anakin says, "Oh, my powers have doubled since the last time we met, Cal." Because really the last time they met was like a couple months ago in universe time. So that's sort of like ridiculous to think. But where they make up with that is that Anakin and Grievous never meet. So it makes that one line where they have that first interaction really meaningful because they actually have not met. Anakin or Obi-Wan cut down those Magna Guards like they were butter. Sheev's struggling. Palpatine really struggles through this opening act. It's actually funny to watch his facial expressions. I love the Battle of Coruscant. One of my favorite Star Wars battles. Um, each of the large prequel battles, actually Coruscant, Geonosis, and Naboo, really great battle sequences, great action, war scenes. Love that about the prequels. Speaking of the prequels as a whole, now that we're wrapping them up here at 300 subscribers with Revenge of the Sith, well, I guess Rogue One's a prequel, isn't it? Okay, for the sake of the video, we'll say that these are the prequels 1, 2, and 3. I think Revenge of the Sith, out of the 3 prequels, really legitimizes this trilogy. For me, at least. Some people really do love The Phantom Menace. Some people really love Attack of the Clones. I have great friends that love both of those movies. We know some folks on Twitter that love Attack of the Clones. Chloe from @Lightsaber Queen, Attack of the Clones, one of her favorite movies. My friend Luke, The Phantom Menace is his favorite Star Wars movie. For me, though, I feel like Revenge of the Sith legitimizes the prequels as a trilogy. I think the first 2 were overall misses. And I think a lot of folks feel like that The Phantom Menace was meh, Attack of the Clones was sort of a mess, and I feel like Revenge of the Sith kind of wraps this trilogy up nicely and makes you go back and think, oh, maybe they weren't that bad. And I think Revenge of the Sith is so good that it allowed the prequels to be legitimized as a part of the Star Wars trilogy. You know, and just like I know folks that love Attack of the Clones and that love The Phantom Menace, I know folks that hate the prequel trilogy. They just never really see it as a part of Star Wars just because it wasn't the Star Wars they grew up with, and that's fine. That's fine. But for a lot of folks that are my age or younger, maybe a little bit older as well, the prequels were the Star Wars that they grew up on, and this is a big piece of Star Wars for a lot of fans. So of course I'm generalizing when I say that Revenge of the Sith is what kind of made the prequel trilogy, but I do think for a majority of fans that Revenge of the Sith is very high on their list, and they think very highly of Revenge of the Sith, and that allows them to kind of reconsider some of the other choices that were made in The Phantom Menace, and then, of course, in Attack of the Clones. For anyone that doesn't know, the business on Cato Nemoidia was never really talked about in canon, but the business on Cato Nemoidia involves Obi-Wan getting extremely high off illegal spice and then getting caught, and Anakin having to come rescue him from some bounty hunters or something of the sort. But it was a bad look for Obi-Wan, which is why he says it never counts. There's Mace Windu and Palpatine talking, great foreshadowing as they're having a civil conversation, seeing as later in the movie, things will not be so civil between the two of them. There's Orn Free Taa in the background, and Senator Jar Jar Binks, who's making a full circle moment, coming to be a senator for Naboo. But Orn Free Taa, I actually have his action figure somewhere from Attack of the Clones. Drink time, folks. I love iced tea. I don't know what I would do without iced tea, to be honest with you guys. Bail Organa, folks. Jimmy Smith says Bail Organa. We gotta love it. A little reuniting with Padme here. This is nice. This is the Anidala stands Twitter favorite moment. For anyone wondering, if you ever been on Star Wars Twitter, this is a scene that it's just obsessed over. Of course, you'll notice that Padme has got the Princess Leia buns in, so that's very nice. It's a nice little callback. Of course, she's going to announce that she's pregnant to Anakin, which is a huge surprise, but not really a huge surprise. I need everyone to pay attention here in this scene. When, from right here to the end of the scene, pay attention to Hayden's acting. So, the reason why I wanted everybody to pay attention to Hayden's acting there, because I think that moment, sans the third act of this film, was probably Hayden's best acting moment of the entire prequel trilogy. I love that moment because just with his facial expressions, he does so much within 10 seconds, right? He's happy, he's overjoyed, but he's also worried. He's scared. But he also kind of calms down at the end and realizes he has to be a leader. He has to show Padme that he's not scared. So he puts on this false face, even though he really is happy. It's a wonderful acting job, just with his eyes and his facial expression and his body language. You can tell that in that scene. I think that's really a powerful moment in the saga, in the prequel trilogy. And why is it a powerful moment? Because Hayden made it a powerful moment with his acting. And that's not something that he gets a lot of credit for. I think Hayden gets hated on a lot of times for his delivery. I think he gets hated on a lot of times for how he handled George's writing. What you cannot tell me, though, is that Hayden did a bad job facially and body language wise, and that and sort of physically. I don't think you can tell me he did a bad job, because I think physically, and of course why I say the third act of this movie is that through his facial expressions, you get a lot out of him. And when he doesn't have a lot of speaking lines while he's on Mustafar in the last act of this movie, you still can understand what he's feeling and what he's going through. And that's thanks to his body language. I think he does a great job with that kind of stuff. We're gonna get some a cringe moment here, if you will. Wait for it. That's a fine line. Mm-hmm. Cringe. Double cringe. A triple cringe. Ooh, that's a quad, folks. There it is. Whew. Yeah, not great right there. That's really the last cringe moment, though. One of the last definitive cringe moments in the prequel trilogy, which is saying something because we are only half an hour into this movie, half hour and 40 seconds in. And that's the last real cringe moment of the whole movie. That's fantastic. That's what I'm saying about Revenge of the Sith. I think this really legitimizes a prequel trilogy. There is not a cringe moment every single act or every half hour. We're talking about a movie that has one really cringe moment, and that's it. Drink time. Drinking time. Anakin really shredded getting out of bed. I wish, folks, I was as shredded as Anakin. I actually used that screenshot here of Anakin looking out over Coruscant in college as one of my backgrounds on the news while I was doing weather. We did a whole Star Wars Day segment, and then all of the backgrounds on my weather graphics were Star Wars related. Really cool. Hmm. You know, this scene where Anakin struggles to be honest with Padme and be full frontal with her about her dying in childbirth, I think is one of the reasons why it shows that Anakin was kind of destined to fall to the dark side because it it's in his personality to be protective. It's not so much his choices, really. Obviously, his choices do lead him to fall to the dark side. Obviously, killing Count Dooku, that was a choice. Um, but in Anakin's personality, he's very protective, and that allows him to be dishonest, and that leads to very, very bad things about Anakin. And that's one of the reasons why I think Anakin was always destined to fall to the dark side, no matter what anybody did. And it's very, very telling of his character. This scene is one of those scenes that everybody uses in fan trailers and Star Wars tributes on YouTube, all of which very good that I've seen. I follow a lot of those channels, and they all use this one scene to kind of be the background of vocals. But It's in a lot of them, folks. We got to find other things. This and Obi-Wan and Luke in the hut, which is my favorite Star Wars scene. Always, always used in Star Wars tribute stuff. We got to find other scenes, folks. Here's our first scene with Anakin and Palpatine in this movie. One of many. I think I said in the Attack of the Clones commentary that the scenes with Anakin and Palpatine, some of the best in the prequel trilogy, and it goes far beyond their dialogue and their conversation. It goes into how they foreshadow these two later in the trilogy. I mean, they're always walking side by side, and Anakin is taller than Palpatine, and it's just a very Vader and the Emperor moment between these two every time that they're together. It's very cool, and they even do that in the Clone Wars. I know I've been referencing the Clone Wars a lot, but I mean the Clone Wars, just like episodes 1, 2, and 3, are really an essential part of the prequels these days. And even in the Clone Wars, when Anakin and Palpatine are together, there's a few scenes when Anakin is visiting and he's just standing there next to Palpatine. He doesn't say anything. It's very Vader and Emperor of them to do, and it's very very cool. So here's Anakin. I mean, here we go. This is the definitive Anakin moment right here, or one of them, probably in the top three, when Anakin is appointed to the council as as a representative, but is not given the rank of master, which is an extremely crushing blow to him. Um, Obi-Wan knows what's about to go down, which is a shame. One of the things that was pointed out to me by a friend of mine was that the background around the Jedi Council has a storm approaching, a dark storm approaching the Jedi Council chambers, as Anakin is told that he is not going to be receiving the rank of master. I think that's such a cool little touch. I have no idea if that was intentional or if they just liked the stormy background, but man, that is a great, great little touch. If that is what George Lucas chose to do, kudos to him, man, because that's well done symbolism right there. This movie starts ramping up here after Anakin is denied the rank of master. Anakin starts taking this extreme downhill spiral, and now Obi-Wan has to tell him that he has been assigned to spy on the Chancellor. God, that's tough. Must have been a tough decision for the Jedi Council. Sometimes I think about that. Like, they had to let Obi-Wan tell Anakin that he has to go spy on the Chancellor, because I think if it was anybody else, if it had been Mace, if it had been Yoda, if it had been any other Jedi Master, I think Anakin would have outright refused to do it. I don't think he would have gone. I don't think he would have done it. Or he would have straight up told the Chancellor that he was going to do it. I think because he trusts Obi-Wan and he sees Obi-Wan as a fatherly figure, he does it because he feels like he's obligated to. Because Obi-Wan was his master and he spent so much time with him, and that he can trust Obi-Wan. Anakin is compelled to do it. I don't think he likes it. Obviously he doesn't like it, and that he succumbs to telling the chancellor that they've sent him to spy on him. Um, but it's just it's a tough call right there, and I'm sort of ashamed that we never got to see how that goes down. I'd love to see someday Star Wars explain how they came up with the idea to let Anakin spy on the Chancellor, because that'd be a really cool story, I think. Or how the Jedi Council decided that they had to let Obi-Wan do it. 'Cause I'm sure Obi-Wan's not thrilled to do this either, because they understand what they're doing. I'd love to get inside some of these characters' heads as they're told that they have to tell Anakin to go spy on the Chancellor. You know, when Yoda says that they could have misread the prophecy, I wish they had worked that in somehow more. I was a big believer when The Force Awakens first came out that the prophecy was misread and that Rey was actually the chosen one and that she was destined to destroy the Sith. That would have been really cool if they actually had misread it. But then they would have to have worked Anakin back into that somehow. I don't know how they would have done that. Maybe somebody out there who's good at writing and a fan fiction universe can do that for me, but alas, that's one of those things that the sequel trilogy that I wish they would have done, but still loved it either way. But it would have been cool to see them rehash and go back and say, "Oh, maybe we did misread this prophecy." Or Luke, says, "Oh, they had a prophecy. My father was supposed to destroy the Sith, but they misread it. They didn't see this, this, and this, and it's actually you." And that would have been really cool. I think it would have been really cool. Gotta get a drink, everybody. I'm parched. I talked through a 2.5 hour movie. You gotta give me a break. I think it's really funny that a lot of these scenes with Padme are very calm and they're very serene, and I think that sort of reflects what is going on inside Anakin's head. A lot of the scenes that are not with Padme are very fast and they're very to the point and they're very dark. Like this scene we're about to see, which is probably the best scene in all of Star Wars. This one right here. Um, but a lot of the scenes with Padme in this movie are very calm and they have warm lighting and they're very inviting. And I think that really represents what is going on inside Anakin's head. I think Anakin's only peace in his life, the only time when he feels calm is around Padme, and that's to his demise ultimately, which is sort of sad, but it is a stark contrast, especially seeing this scene that is so dark. The music is so dark, very much like the Emperor's throne room music in Return of the Jedi. I think these two scenes work really well. The Padme and Anakin on the balcony there at sunset, and then now this one. They work well back to back. When Palpatine says that Anakin is the best choice to fight General Grievous, and I don't know if Anakin even believes that. I don't even think Anakin truly believes that he was the best to fight General Grievous. I think Anakin just wants to go with Obi-Wan. I think he just wants to be there to help him. I don't think Anakin thinks that he's the best choice to defeat him. I think he knows that Obi-Wan's by far the better choice because he has more experience. But I think Palpatine uses that as a crutch. I think he just uses that to kind of gaslight Anakin a little bit, trying to gas him up. I love this scene. I'm sorry that I'm not talking too much through this scene, but it's just one of those scenes that I just absolutely love. I mean, top 5 Star Wars scenes, top 3 Star Wars scenes. This is on it. This might be number 1. No, not for me. Obviously, I just said that the Luke and Obi-Wan in the hut, my favorite scene, but this one maybe number 2. Just so much to break down. No, this is scene really is another great example of how Anakin's facial expressions, or not Anakin's, but Hayden's facial expressions as Anakin, really give away a lot about what he's thinking or how he says certain lines. What he's reciting from a Jedi text versus what's him actually thinking about the situation. Here we go. To the Sith, so powerful, so wise. If you didn't already know, the Darth Plagueis book that we actually reviewed on the channel, you can go and check that out. Makes this story really good. Just really enhances this story. God dang, is that scene good or is that scene good? I love that scene. I don't know anybody that doesn't love that scene. Love Kashyyyk. Love it. I didn't see. Here's something else I love. Love Commander Gree. Love Commander Gree. I didn't see Revenge of the Sith in theaters when it came out. I actually got into Star Wars right after Revenge of the Sith. Right around 2006, 2007 was when I started getting into Star Wars for real. Obviously, you had heard the stories and you know who people were, but you don't know the actual overarching story. So I never saw this movie in theaters, but seeing Kashyyyk in theaters must have been really cool. Seeing all those Wookiees on one planet must have been just absolutely incredible for a lifelong Star Wars fan who had seen all of the movies. I love Commander Gree. He's so cool. This is a great Battlefront map too. Fantastic Battlefront map, actually. The 41st. Again, sorry, I'm not talking too much, but this is just a great little sequence here where Anakin apologizes to Obi-Wan. Sort of funny that the last scene that Anakin has with Obi-Wan, obviously this is it before they part ways, is him apologizing, seeing what goes down, and then the last time Obi-Wan talks to Anakin on the lava field at Mustafar is him apologizing. It's it, God, it's just one of those things that really makes Revenge of the Sith so good. Um, anybody that doesn't like Revenge of the Sith, it's just I don't know what they're looking at, man. This movie's so good, and obviously everybody knows the last scene is Obi-Wan walking into the light, and then Anakin in the darkness. Just God, George Lucas, why'd you save all your good stuff for Revenge of the Sith? Why couldn't you pull out all the stops and the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones? Oh, that would have been so good. Commander Cody appearance. Commander Cody. Hmm. I always wonder what that thing is Anakin's holding. That Game Boy looking thing. Anybody know what that is? Why is that in the shot? Can anybody really tell me? Comment down below. What is that stupid thing that Anakin's holding? If you've made it this far, congrats. We're almost an hour in. 53 minutes on the dot right now if you've lost track. The one thing I really love about Anakin's character is that he's not dumb. That's such a stupid thing to say, but Anakin's not stupid. Anakin's a very smart individual. He realizes that something's going on. He feels like if he realizes that he has to do something. He can't just stand by. What he doesn't realize is that no matter what he does, it's going to lead him down the wrong path. He's a very smart character. He's definitely one of the smarter Star Wars characters, but unfortunately, it's just the odds are stacked against Anakin. Talk about another great Battlefront 2 2005 map. Utapau. Oh my god, Utapau. I love this map. I love playing as the 212, especially on the Battlefront Extreme mod. Oh, so much fun. Love the orange clones. Again, if you're still watching, we're at 54. Ho hum, 54:40. Not quite halfway there. However, this movie does move really quick, doesn't it? This movie is one of those Star Wars movies that just keeps moving and going and going and going. It's a lot like Empire Strikes Back in that way. I hate to, compare Empire Strikes Back to Revenge of the Sith, but both are movies that just sort of keep going and going and going and going, and they both have every scene where it matters. Every single scene in this movie matters, just like Empire Strikes Back. Drinking time, folks. Time for some more iced tea. Hope everybody is having a wonderful evening, or morning, or afternoon, whenever you're watching Revenge of the Sith. Which is literally, there is no bad time to watch Revenge of the Sith, is there? At work, at home, doesn't matter. Any place, any time is a great time to watch Revenge of the Sith. I gotta tell you what, though. Any place, any time is also a great time to read Revenge of the Sith. Gotta tell you, reading Revenge of the Sith was a fantastic experience. I have that review on my Talking with My Hans book review playlist. It's one of the first books we reviewed on this channel was Revenge of the Sith by Matthew Stover. I'm looking at it right now on my bookshelf, and boy, was that a fantastic book. Unfortunately, it's no longer canon. That novelization of Revenge of the Sith is not a canon novelization just because it references a bunch of different parts of the old Clone Wars series, like the Battle of Jabim, which was a huge loss for the clones and for the Republic, and was a big downfall point for Anakin and Obi-Wan. References a bunch of stuff from that series. However, I'd say about 90% of that book is canon, and just the way Matthew Stover wrote it just was absolutely fantastic, and it did so much justice to these characters and who they were as people. He wrote it not as a rehashing of the story, but he really wanted to get inside what the characters were feeling at the time. What you kind of lose in some of these novelizations, and I talked about it when I talked about the Rise of Skywalker novel that came out in February or thereabout. No, March. Forget when that novel came out. When did the Rise of Skywalker novel come out? I have no idea. But the Rise of Skywalker novel does not do anywhere near as much good for the Rise of Skywalker as the Revenge of the Sith novel does for Revenge of the Sith. There's no real way to describe the writing style and how the book makes you feel about these characters, and how tragic the downfall is at the end. It's quite the novel. As we get later into this movie, the book actually gets narrower. The last 45 minutes of this movie might be the last 50 pages of the book. In all reality, most of the book is actually Anakin and Obi-Wan in the opening act, because he really wants to set up the dynamic between the two of them and how they feed off each other and their friendship and all that. And it's something that you kind of lose in Revenge of the Sith. If there was ever a criticism of Revenge of the Sith, we will transfer away from the book. Here's how I'll wrap up the book conversation. If you have not read Revenge of the Sith by Matthew Stover, it is so worth the read. You could get it for less than $10 nowadays, the paperback version of the book. Please do yourself a favor and read that book. Please, 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 as soon as you can. Get it from your local library. Purchase it from your local bookstore. However you get your books, just read it. But like the book, I should say, as what the book does very well is that it showcases Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship very well, which makes the obvious tragic ending that much more tragic. If there was ever a criticism of Revenge of the Sith, which there are few, let me tell you, there are really few, and that's where we draw a stark contrast between this audio commentary and the last audio commentary in Attack of the Clones, is that Revenge of the Sith does not have many criticisms. However, if there is one, it's that Anakin and Obi-Wan still are not done justice in these movies. We see it in Attack of the Clones once in the opening act, when they're flying through Coruscant and they're bickering back and forth, and you get a lot of ha-ha moments, and you see how close they are. That's the only time in that movie you see that they're really good friends. I think in this movie you get the opening act as well, where they're flying through the battle and they face Count Dooku and they are doing their stuff together. I think that shows that they're very good friends. But other than that, in the prequels, in the movies, you don't get a lot of that. So I feel like where the ending of this movie is tragic and it's very emotional. And don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic ending and it still holds a lot of weight. Imagine what it could have been. Imagine what the ending could have been if you had more time spent with Anakin and Obi-Wan together as a duo. That's where the book shines. That's where this book, or that's where this movie does not. Here we go. Here's a really good scene right here that was not that good until a couple months ago. Phew. Let's see here. Obviously, we know what happens after that. Is that Ahsoka joins the call, and then very shortly after, we have the unfortunate circumstances of Order 66. However, that's a scene like a lot of these scenes in Revenge of the Sith, and it was hilarious when we were watching the season 7 stuff as that started coming out. Um, Everybody thought, there's no way Revenge of the Sith can get any better than it already was, and then you get this amazing last 4 episode arc of the Clone Wars, and it just makes this movie even better. Especially where these two movies interact, right, and where they cross over, like this scene here, and the something I didn't mention while we were in the opening act over Coruscant, how the siege of Mandalore, when the clone gunships are going on to Mandalore, the music matches up with the opening sequence of this movie, and it kind of indicates that both of these things are happening at the same time. It just makes Revenge of the Sith that much more deep than it already is, and Revenge of the Sith is one of those Star Wars movies that has a lot of depth by itself, but now that we have that extra layer, now we have a piece of Anakin that is not part of this movie, that we know what's going on, it just adds a whole nother level to this movie. This scene in the book, very much expanded. This scene, much longer in the book, and Palpatine goes through, all the things that he could give Anakin, and it really makes Anakin think about the dark side, rather than just this one little snippet. I thought this was a scene in the book that was done actually a little bit better than in the movie, even though this is a great, great little scene in the movie. This is one of those scenes that makes me think back to when Anakin kills Count Dooku. I wonder if him killing Count Dooku in the beginning of the movie creates some doubt within Anakin. I wonder if he had not killed Count Dooku in the beginning of the movie, if he would have killed Palpatine here. I still don't think he would have, but I think now that he faces evil head on, I think he's once again conflicted by the death of Count Dooku and saying, I'm not going to strike him down. I'm not going to kill him, which maybe he should have killed Palpatine right there. one of these very unique Star Warsy scenes where we're in a chase and one guy's on a dragon and the other guy's on a monowheel and they're fighting each other with a stick that has lightning on the end. It's out of context. Nobody would have any idea what's going on in this scene right here. I think that's hilarious. Like, if you were not a Star Wars fan and this is what you tuned into, of this weird cyborg shooting lasers on this monowheel with a lightning stick, whew, gosh, that's got to be the weirdest thing to see. Oh, it's gotta hurt getting hit in the face by metal. God, that's gotta hurt really bad. God, kicking a metal shin, that's gotta hurt bad too. And then getting tossed over the side. Sith Lord. This is like Anakin's last really great Jedi moment here. It's revealing to Mace Windu that the Chancellor is actually Emperor Palpatine. One of the things that gets me is that Mace probably told Anakin to wait in the council chamber so that when they get back, they could grant him the rank of master for finding out Palpatine was actually a dark side user. And Anakin doesn't wait, and instead he goes, and he was that close to probably never seeing any of this happen. A lot of those moments in this movie were that close. Oh, it hurts. One of these great Star Wars scenes right here. I think it's called the immolation scene. I'm not really sure what this scene is called, but it's this little bond here that Anakin and Padme share across the cityscape. Not like the Force dyad in the sequels to this scene. It gives me those vibes actually, where Padme looks out across the city and Anakin's there in the Jedi Temple, and then Anakin looks back out across the city at Padme, and obviously they can't see each other. It's a long way away, but you get the feeling that they can sense each other and they can feel each other, and they kind of get what's going on. It has a real Force dyad feel to it. It's very interesting. See, Anakin is just being torn apart here. Just doesn't know what to do, quite obviously. he has to choose there in that moment, whether he chooses between the Chancellor or Mace Windu and the Jedi or Padme and his kids. I mean, it's getting pulled so many different directions. It's terrible. In the movie, it just seems like those two guys were not paying attention at all, and they just get cut down by Palpatine there. But in the book version, and there goes Kit Fisto, Rip Kit Fisto. Um, in the book, they describe Palpatine, being just so lightning quick and just you couldn't see where he was. He was that fast. Obviously, in the movie, you can't really do that. In 2005, they didn't really have that ability, but in the book, they describe him going so incredibly fast that Eth Koth and them had no Eth Koth and Sinise Tin just had no chance because he was moving so fast. Now Anakin showing up to help. Better late than never, Anakin. Wait, hop in there at the end. This is such a great battle. I love Palpatine and Windu going at it. These are two of the top Force users of their time. I just think that this is one of the, if we had to look at most powerful Force battles, lightsaber battles in Star Wars, this is probably it right here. I mean, this is two of the top going at it. I think this and then Vader and Luke in Return of the Jedi probably are the two battles that represent two of the peak Force users of their time going at it. What a cool moment this must be in the theater to see Palpatine finally get his Emperor skin. Anakin's not entirely wrong here. Yeah, Anakin's not wrong there. He's not too entirely wrong. It's not the Jedi way to kill him. He does have to stand trial. He has to be tried for his crimes. But Mace isn't wrong either. He might be too powerful to be kept alive. It's a great Star Wars debate. Great debate right there that not a lot of people are talking about. Who was right? Palpatine or Anakin? Obviously, in the end, Mace was sort of right because he ruins the galaxy, but only because Anakin was there. This is a very Palpatine moment. This is super Palpatine right here. This is just super Palpatine right now. And the robe he's in right now, Palpatine, a lot like the robe he wears in The Rise of Skywalker, that red sheen. Yoda feeling the effects of Anakin pulling to the dark side. This is about the time when Ahsoka starts feeling it too. Of course, all the Jedi were destroyed, and there was a big civil war. This movie just full of little references and little Easter eggs and stuff like that that just really tie the two trilogies together very, very well. Um, even though there is 19 years of difference between this movie and A New Hope and Rogue One, you really get the sense of connection between the two. And that's just a wonderful job in filmmaking, just to get the themes correct and for it to feel like one trilogy going in from one to another. Yes. Great, great moment. Great Star Wars moment. Anakin and the clones march to the Jedi Temple. God. This, I'm telling you, back half of this movie, banger after banger after banger. Every single scene, it's crazy. So here we go. Order 66. One of the premier Star Wars moments. You know, Order 66, just, we've talked a lot about the Clone Wars in this audio commentary already, but, it's almost like the Clone Wars was made exclusively for Order 66. These Jedi, Ki-Adi-Mundi that die, Plo Koon that dies in this, Aayla Secura that dies, these Jedi that die here in this scene, and are just done so much justice in the Clone Wars. It's almost like they highlighted Jedi that were killed in the scene to make it more emotional than it is, and they certainly do a fantastic job. Um, you know, the fact that we meet all these clones as well, and we know these clones, it's tough. Um, this scene in season 7 of the Clone Wars just terrible. When Ahsoka and the clones are going at it. It's just tough. It's just tough to see. It's just heartbreaking here. It's tough. Rip. Plo Koon. It's just you just meet all these Jedi in the Clone Wars. It's tough. It's really tough. Mm. And the Jedi Temple just gets sadder and sadder and sadder. You just it's the scene. How does the scene get any worse? And then it does every time. Big Bail Organa moment right here with the Jet Lucas. Commander Appo. Captain Appo. Appo actually is in the Clone Wars on the Umbara arc. Stands next to General Krell in a couple of scenes. Has the arrow on his helmet because Appo is a reference to Dave Filoni's work on the uh, Avatar: The Last Airbender, obviously with Appa. Uh, but not a lot of people know that. I didn't know that for a long time until I saw Avatar: The Last Airbender. Great show, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Fantastic show. Of course, a Dave Filoni classic. Here's Yoda escaping. Kashyyyk. Tarful, other than um, Revenge of the Sith, shows up in Jedi Fallen Order. How about that? If you have not played Jedi Fallen Order, I think now's the time, folks. It's time to get on that. Tarful makes an appearance in Jedi Fallen Order. It was one of the people you have to track down in that movie because the rebels are trying to get a hold of him. I kind of like that Obi-Wan reaches out to Bail Organa for help, just like Princess Leia will then reach out to Obi-Wan for help later down the line. I don't think that's the intended purpose of that scene, but it's a nice little back and forth parallel there that Obi-Wan ends up reaching out to Bail in his time of need, and Bail's daughter reaches out to Obi-Wan, and of course in the rebellion's time of need. It's very strange this whole thing for Anakin. I can see why folks thought this downfall was so quick. You know, another one of the complaints about Revenge of the Sith, which again there are very few of. One of the valid criticisms, I should say, of Revenge of the Sith is that there is the downfall for Anakin. At least if you're just watching the prequel trilogy, is ho hum pretty quick. There are obvious telltale signs, and you know, there is a clear passage of time. A decade of time has gone, but no, not a decade. 4 years have gone past over the Clone Wars. But if you're just watching the movies, the downfall is sort of abrupt, and he goes from this lovable Jedi, and now he's telling Padme, he's straight up lying to Padme that the Jedi tried to overthrow the Republic and tried to assassinate the Chancellor, which is just simply not true. Um, so in that sense, that criticism is valid. But one of the reasons why I say the Clone Wars is such a must-watch nowadays for Star Wars fans is that exact reason, is that it provides Anakin's downfall here in this movie and Revenge of the Sith with more context. It's a much slower burn. You can see over time how Anakin evolves as a person and what he goes through in the Clone Wars, and the weight on his shoulders, between his marriage and this. It's a much better way to watch the trilogy. Here's the trilogies and the Star Wars saga's first look at Mustafar. Not the last time we'll see it. We'll see it again when we do our 400 subscriber special, which is coming up very soon. We're recording that very soon. We'll see that again, Mustafar again, and of course we see it again in The Rise of Skywalker, which will be our last audio commentary. That one won't be for a while. 1,200 subscribers, we'll be doing The Rise of Skywalker. So we have a long time to wait, folks, but hopefully it comes sooner than later. Not the best graphics work by the Revenge of the Sith team there. Not their best work. Gotta be honest with you, but still, it'll do. This is the last time R2 sees Anakin. Right there. Wonder how he feels. We never really got that perspective. Wonder what R2 feels like in that moment. I'd love to see that too. Human Darth Vader, our first real appearance. One of my favorite scenes. That's where he kills all the separatist leaders. Really cool. It's crazy that they got in the temple like that and there's not anybody defending the temple other than those clones outside. That just rattles my brain. How did they not have more guards walking around inside? How did they not? Like, surely the Empire must be smarter than this. Great transition. I mean, fantastic transition. This is the thumbnail for the Disney Plus thing. I love it. I love that shot. That one shot where Anakin turns around right there. Oh, that might be my favorite shot in the whole movie. I'm not kidding you. I love the yellow eyes on Anakin. It's just great. I love, 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 love that shot. Does nobody see the yellow eyes on Palpatine? Does anybody think that's sort of suspicious? Nobody in the Senate thinks that's suspicious? I like that. Well, we also get to see this message over time in Rebels, of course, that we get to see Obi-Wan's message to everybody else. It's a very nice message. Love that about Rebels. That's what we're now kind of getting into now, the two animated series, how much they complement Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan must sense that this is what has happened. Mm. I wonder what Padme's feeling right now. Sure, she's just as conflicted as Anakin is. Everything around her is just crumbling apart. Her whole life, the Senate, politics, that's just completely falling apart, and Anakin is going two different directions. She must be scared to be around Obi-Wan, who's said to have betrayed the Republic, and now Obi-Wan is telling her that Anakin's actually betrayed the Republic. It's crazy. She must be feeling all sorts of different things. Oh, and she's pregnant, by the way, if anybody forgot. She's having twins. These scenes with Obi-Wan really make me can't wait till the Obi-Wan series that we're getting in a couple of years. I really can't wait. One of my favorite lines in the whole movie right here. I think he really is genuinely sorry there. I love that Obi-Wan knows. I love that Obi-Wan just pretends not to know. It's great. One of the best parts of this series and the Clone Wars and the prequel trilogy is just the fact that Obi-Wan has Obi-Wan keeps it to himself that he just knows that Anakin's married to Padme. And here we go again. Here we go. Right here. See this scene where he's crying, and you can just feel that he just feels terrible about everything. Is one of those moments where Hayden really, really, really shines in acting in this movie. Just like in the beginning, we were talking about him and Natalie Portman in their scene where Padme reveals to Anakin that she is pregnant. Anakin runs through the absolute marathon of facial expressions. You can see how much love and joy he has, but also how scared and terrified he is, all in the span of 10 seconds. And right there, I mean, just no lines, no lines, a lot on the Mustafar scenes, but you can just tell like how bad he feels. And I hate using the word bad because, like, oh, what does Anakin feel? Anakin feels bad. Well, he does feel bad. I think he just he doesn't know he's conflicted. Like, he's so terribly conflicted, and he doesn't even just say anything. That's how good the acting is, and it takes a lot. I have not acted in a whole lot of things, but I can tell you that doing that on command and making it convincing and not making it cringeworthy is very, very, very hard to do. And Hayden does it so flawlessly every single time. Padme's about to go find out for herself if Anakin has turned to the dark side or not. Comes Anakin now, her very Sith husband. Notice that he didn't answer the question. You know, he never said he wasn't on the dark side. He just said that that Obi-Wan's trying to turn her against him. See, this is where the dark side has consumed Anakin. Is that he now is believing more in himself. He's now believing more in his powers. He's now believing in he's getting thirsty for more powers. This is where Anakin is sort of lost. You know, Perhaps earlier, I think Anakin could have been turned if the right person was there, or if he had been warned. But right here in this scene, it's way too late. It's too late, and you can see it. Look, there's his facial expressions again. He's crazy now. He's gone off the deep end. Oh, here we go, folks. The definitive lightsaber battle of the decade, of the last decade. Hmm. I mean, you can just see how far Anakin's just gone down. It's a shame. It's one of those things that you just look at and you go, "Gosh, dang!" This is, I, here we go back again with this back and forth with Anakin. Could he have been turned? Could he have not have been turned? You see how quickly he goes downhill. He goes from seemingly normal when he is initiated into the dark side, but now he's gone off the deep end. Now he's crazy. That makes me think that this was in him the whole time. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think he could have been turned just because of how quickly he goes downhill. This was inside him. This was ready to come out of him at any time. And this is the time. I don't know if anybody's seen the TikTok where those guys quote this whole thing from beginning to end. Great TikTok. And here we go. The best Star Wars lightsaber duel, I think, in the entire saga is these two right here. Is it flashy? Yes. Is it over the top? Yes. Is it still awesome? Yes. I think it's okay that this is flashing over the top. I think that this duel, too, Yoda and Palpatine, I think it's okay that these two are flashing over the top because I think these two are just evenly matched. Both of these duels are evenly matched. So both of these duelists are going to be ramped up to the absolute peak of their power. I think it's okay that it is just fast swinging sabers all over the place because I think that is exactly what the Jedi look like at the peak of their power. How does Yoda not see that coming? Can anybody tell me how Yoda does not see Palpatine shocking him with lightning coming? Mace Windu saw it coming. I think it's also great that Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor do all their own stunts. This is great. Very hard to do for any actor. But man, to get this down, this is great. Okay, not the best choreography there from Palpatine falling over the desk like that. Perhaps a better shot would have been better. It looked kind of clunky, but still, we get the point. So he whips out a lightsaber there. If you've been paying close attention, I don't know if many of you know this, but it's another one of those things that the Clone Wars rectifies. Palpatine loses his lightsaber in the battle against Mace Windu. If you recall, it falls out the window. He does not have it. But somehow he has his lightsaber again here. Did somebody retrieve it? No. Nobody retrieved it. If you remember back in the Clone Wars, Palpatine actually has two lightsabers. He has two. Remember when he's dueling Mace Windu and Savage Opress? He has two lightsabers, which rectifies that problem in this movie. Once again, another example of the Clone Wars making Revenge of the Sith an even better movie, or a more comprehensive movie, I should say. I like the setting of this duel of Yoda and Palpatine in the middle of the Galactic Senate. I think it's a great setting for that duel, just because the duel between Palpatine and Yoda really is the fate of the galaxy, and the galaxy is represented there in the Senate. You know, I think whoever wins that battle between Palpatine and Yoda is the side that's going to come out the victor. Because I think if Yoda defeats Palpatine, then Anakin has no mentor to go to. And he might fall back to his old mentor. But obviously, Palpatine wins the duel, and Yoda has to escape and go into exile. And thusly, the Empire reigns for decades. Not to say that the Anakin and Obi-Wan duel doesn't have any effect on the galaxy. Of course it does. Of course the Anakin and Obi-Wan duel has effect on the galaxy. Um, if anybody played, I think it's The Force Unleashed. No, Revenge of the Sith, the video game. They had some alternate endings to this saga. If you the last missions where Anakin faces Obi-Wan, if you play as Anakin and you defeat Obi-Wan, there's an alternate ending. Yeah, there's a couple of different alternate endings in Revenge of the Sith, the video game, which was a lot of fun back in the day. Really great game. And this is where Yoda loses it, right here. That's the fate of the galaxy, right there. Now back to Anakin and Obi-Wan. Okay, are some of these parts a little too over the top? Maybe. These guys walking across this pipe? Perhaps. Awesome visuals? Yes. There's Commander Thyre from the Clone Wars as well, right there. Lord Vader is in danger. You are correct. Lord Vader's doing pretty good right now, though. Got the upper hand in this battle until they both fall into the lava. That's not great. Not really that great right now. Tough call right there, man. Tough. Yoda probably feels very defeated. It's a hard ask though to go get Palpatine on a whim like that. I mean, Yoda obviously just was not prepared for that battle. I don't know how you prepare for something like that. Yoda outmatched by someone equally as powerful in the dark side. Nice. I wonder if this is where people thought Anakin was really going to die right here, where Anakin would become Darth Vader is going down this waterfall. That Anakin makes this amazing run for it onto this poor droid. For 2005, the CGI in this shot, which is a lot of practicality to it, but the CGI in this shot is just fantastic for 2005. If you notice, Obi-Wan tries to pull that move on Anakin as he flips over him. He learns it that one time. He swipes at him and he misses. Right as Anakin jumps from his droid onto Obi-Wan's little platform. Yeah, Obi-Wan gets him that time. For the last time. That had to have hurt Obi-Wan to do. I'm sure it did. If you're crying right now, you're allowed to cry. This is crazy that he actually lives through this whole thing. Actually, he has the strength to pull himself up with one arm and literally less than half of his body. It's insane. It's just absolutely insane to me. Mm. Now, Polis Massa, the hospital asteroid. Mm. This is a great shot too. I don't know why I love this shot in the rain on Coruscant with Palpatine unloading Anakin. That's just so cool. Might be the music, might be the lightning. I don't know what it is, but it's just so awesome with the clones. Such a stark contrast to this too. This movie's all about contrast between light and dark. The special effects in that scene's just crazy. Mm. This is another one of those shots. There's just a definitive Star Wars shot. The mask going on. You see that last little look of fear from Anakin as it goes on. Mm. I love that the smoke gets blown away when he breathes out. It's so cool. Yeah, this is just one of the best Star Wars moments right here when Vader finally rises. Crazy. One of the deliciously evil scenes. We love it. Except for this one time when he goes. Right there. Ugh, such a great Vader scene. I really love it, actually. Mm, mm. I love this scene. Um, we talk a lot on the Death Star Dispatch podcast with our guests. Seems like every single guest we have, we're always talking about, from a certain point of view, the Star Wars novel that has 40 different stories from A New Hope and is getting a sequel very soon for The Empire Strikes Back. And that scene where Obi-Wan and Yoda talk about Qui-Gon and how Obi-Wan has to learn from Qui-Gon on how to commune with the living force. It's one of those great examples of Star Wars stories tying into each other. Between the Clone Wars season 6, the Lost Missions, and Yoda going to Dagobah and seeing Qui-Gon and learning about the living force and the cosmic force and how they interact and becoming a force ghosts. And there are scenes in from a certain point of view where Obi-Wan meets with Qui-Gon as a ghost, and they talk about it, and they talk about how it's almost time for Obi-Wan to go and become a Force ghost. And here we have it in this, uh, in Revenge of the Sith. A Qui-Gon mention here at the end. It's really cool. That kind of stuff I love. This is a very sad moment here on Naboo with Padme holding the piece that Anakin gave her back in uh, the Phantom Menace. And of course, the young Tarkin and the Death Star being erected. Of course, the only Alderaan appearance of the Star Wars saga. The only time we actually see Alderaan on the surface. Beautiful planet with the mountains and the meadows and the sprawling cityscape. One of only Brea Organa appearances too, right here. And then here we are, coming down to the end of it right here. This is the same music that plays when Obi-Wan is looking over Luke and Rebels as well, in that one little scene from Twin Sons. And that's it, folks. That's Revenge of the Sith. One of the best Star Wars movies, and one of the nicest little endings to any Star Wars movie. It's one of those endings that is quite different, actually, in Star Wars, because the bad guys actually win in the end, right? The Emperor prevails, Darth Vader is born, and the Empire begins. The bad guys win in Revenge of the Sith, which is sort of a really weird way to end not only a movie, but a trilogy, and for a long time, a saga. Very strange, but one of the best. In my top 5, in a lot of people's top 5s, Revenge of the Sith, number 1 in a lot of people's books. But I'm glad that you could stick around and watch Revenge of the Sith with me, and hopefully you'll return for our next audio commentary, which will be Rogue One, one of my personal favorites. It's in my top 3, actually, Rogue One. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that one, which is supposed to come out very soon. So if you're catching this on the day it comes out, good for you. I hope you'll stick around in the next few days for Rogue One. If you're catching this a month after it comes out, why don't you stick around and watch Rogue One with us as well? All right. Once again, thank you guys so much for 300 subscribers. And thank you for hanging out with us watching Revenge of the Sith. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.